You wake up one day and you start noticing patterns out of the blue. You wake up one day and you start questioning what's really going on. You start saying there has to be more to this life experience than your regular get up, do your mundane tasks, go to work, come home, spend whatever time you have with whoever it is that you like or don't like, right? Go to sleep, all to do it again the next day. So you get to a point that you just stop. And that's where the questions come. That's when they start infiltrating your brain and saying, there has to be more. There has to be more than what we are doing. Because what's the point? What is the point in being in a system that is so predictable? So today I want to talk about something that took me a long time to understand. And honestly, it's something that most of us aren't really taught to look at. Not in school, not growing up, and not even in most of the conversations we have with each other. It's the idea that the life we're living, the reality we experience every day, isn't just something that's happening to us. It's something we're actually participating in creating. Now, I know when people hear that, it can sound a little intense at first, a little woo-woo, because our first instinct is usually to think about all the things outside of us, right? That's where we naturally go. Our circumstances, other people, what happened in our past, opportunities we were given or not given. And those things absolutely matter because our environments shape us. Our experience shapes us. The people around us influence the way we see the world. But there's another layer underneath all of that most people never really stop to look at. And that layer is awareness or consciousness. The way we interpret what's happening, the beliefs we carry, the energy we bring into every moment. All of those things quietly influence what we experience next. And the strange part is most of us are doing this completely unconsciously. We're reacting, we're repeating patterns, we're carrying beliefs we didn't even realize we picked up somewhere along the way. And because we don't see it happening, it just feels like life is happening to us. And for a long time, that's how I lived as well, right? I would look at situations in my life and think that they were random or unfair or just the way things were. But slowly over time, something started becoming really clear to me. The same kind of situations would show up again and again. That pattern, right? The same emotional patterns, the same kind of relationships, the same internal reactions, right? It just show up over and over and over again. And eventually I had to ask myself a question that was honestly uncomfortable at first. And it was the question, what if this isn't random? What if there's something in the way I'm seeing the world, the way I'm thinking, the way I'm showing up that's actually shaping what I experience? And that question changed everything for me. Because the moment you start asking it, something shifts. You begin to notice things you never noticed before. The thoughts running in the background, the assumptions you make about yourself, the stories you tell about what's possible for you, right? And you realize those things, they're not neutral. They have weight. They carry energy. They influence the direction of your life in ways that are much bigger than we usually realize. That realization is actually where everything begins. It's what I call the awakening. And before I explain that a little bit more, I want to say something important. Awakening isn't some dramatic, mystical moment where everything suddenly makes sense. Quite the opposite. It just turns you upside down on your head and you're like, what? For most people, it's actually very quiet, right? It starts with small realizations, little moments where you notice something about your own thinking. Or you catch yourself reacting in a way you've reacted 100 times before. Hello, guilty of that. Or you realize that a belief you've always carried might not actually be true. Those moments are powerful because they're the moment you step out of autopilot. Most people spend their lives in autopilot, not because they're doing anything wrong, but because that's how we're conditioned to live. We grow up learning rules, expectations, ideas about who we're supposed to be. We inherit beliefs from family, from culture, from experiences that happened when we were younger. And a lot of those beliefs become so normal to us that we never question them. Never. They just become the lens we see everything through. So, for example, someone might grow up believing that life is always a struggle, or that they're not good enough, or that success is for the other people, or that relationships always end in pain. See, those beliefs don't just stay in the mind, they influence decisions. They influence what opportunities we notice or ignore. They influence the way we interpret other people's behaviors. And slowly, over time, those beliefs start shaping reality itself. Not because the universe is punishing anyone, no, but because our perception filters what we focus on. And what we focus on tends to grow. If someone believes they're not worthy of good things, they might unconsciously push opportunities away. If someone believes people can't be trusted, they may only notice the moments that confirm that belief. It becomes a cycle, and the tricky part is it feels real because we're seeing evidence of it everywhere, right? We're getting confirmation of it. But the moment awareness enters the picture, that cycle begins to loosen. You start noticing the pattern. See, that's the fun part. You notice the patterns. And once you see a pattern clearly, it becomes a lot harder for it to run your life without your permission. That's why awareness is so powerful. Not because it magically fixes everything overnight, oh goodness, but because it gives you something most people never realize they have. Choice. Choice in how you interpret something. Choice in the beliefs you keep. Choice in the energy you bring into a moment. When people talk about energy and frequency, sometimes it can sound abstract, but at its core, it's actually very simple, okay? Your thoughts carry energy. Your emotions carry energy. Your attention carries energy. And wherever your attention constantly goes, something begins to grow there. Think about how different your day feels depending on your internal state. If you wake up feeling anxious or overwhelmed, the whole day tends to feel heavier. But if you wake up calm and clear, the same situations might feel completely different. The external world might not change immediately, but your experience of it changes. And that shift in experience begins influencing what happens next. That's why becoming aware of your internal world is one of the most important things a person can do. Because I'm sorry, without awareness, you're constantly giving your energy away without realizing it. We give it to distractions. The world is filled with them. We give it to worries that haven't even happened yet or probably won't, right? We give it to old stories that no longer serve us. And the more energy we give those things, the more space they take up in our lives. Awakening is the moment you start reclaiming that energy. It's when you begin paying attention to where your awareness is going, what you're feeding with your thoughts, what you're reinforcing through repetition. And again, this doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything that's happened in your life. That's not what this is about. Life is complex, okay? There are real challenges people go through. But even inside those challenges, there's something incredibly empowering about realizing that your consciousness still matters, okay? The way you respond still matters. The beliefs you choose to hold still matter. because those things influence what direction your life moves next. Okay? That realization is actually what inspired something I've been working on now for a while. It's something I'm calling the return. Taking back authorship of your reality. And the reason I chose that name is because this process isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to something that was always there. Your awareness, your ability to observe your mind, your ability to consciously participate in the reality you're living. Most of us were never taught how powerful that ability actually is. We were taught how to react, how to adapt, how to survive, but we weren't really taught how to step back and ask deeper questions about our own consciousness. Questions like, why do I believe what I believe? That's a deep one. Ask yourself, let's just do this real quick. Why do I believe what I believe? If you just sit with that, it's going to get your mind going. And then, where did these thoughts come from? Are these patterns actually mine? Or did I inherit them from somewhere else? And when you begin asking those questions, something incredible starts to happen. You begin separating yourself from the programming. You start realizing that not every thought in your mind is the truth. Some of them are just echoes of old experiences, old conditioning, old fears, and when you see that clearly, you gain space. Space to choose something different. That's the beginning of the awakening. It's not about having all the answers. It's about being willing to look, to notice, to become curious about your inner world. Because the more aware you become, the more intentional your life can be. And you start responding instead of reacting. You start observing patterns instead of being controlled by them. You begin understanding that your attention is one of the most valuable resources you have, and where you place it matters. So if you've ever felt like life keeps repeating the same lessons, if you've ever felt like something deeper is happening beneath the surface of your experiences, or if you've ever had that quiet thought that maybe there's more going on with the consciousness than we were taught, then you're already closer to awakening than you might realize. Because that curiosity is where it begins. It begins just with noticing, with questioning, with becoming aware of the fact that your mind is not just a passive observer of reality. It's participating in shaping it. And once you see that, you can't really unsee it. From that moment forward, you begin walking a different path. Not perfectly, not instantly, but consciously. And that's what this channel is really about. Exploring that awareness together, understanding the patterns that shape our lives, and slowly learning how to live with more intention, more clarity, and more presence. So this is the beginning of something new here, my friends. Over the next while, I'm going to be sharing more about the return and the different stages people move through as they become more aware of how their inner world connects to the reality they experience. Okay? But for now, the only thing that really matters is this first step, awakening. Just noticing, paying attention to your thoughts, your reactions, your patterns. Because once awareness enters the pictures, everything else begins to change. And the interesting part is, awakening isn't something that happens once. No way. It happens in layers. You notice something new. Then later you notice something deeper. It just takes you down various paths. And each time you do, a little more clarity comes with it. A little more freedom, a little more authorship over your own life. And that idea that we are actually participants in creating our reality might be one of the most important things a person can ever understand. Not because it gives us control over everything, but because it reminds us that our consciousness matters, our awareness matters, our energy matters. And once you begin seeing that clearly, you start living differently, more intentionally, more awake, and maybe more like the person you were always meant to be. So if any part of this resonates with you, stay with me on this journey, because this is just the beginning. And the deeper we go into awareness, the more we start understanding something powerful. We were never just observers of our lives. We've been authors all along. Most of us just didn't realize it yet.